Okay, we are recording. Joining me today, Vickie, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm all right. I'm all right. We've done a big fake hello there. Like we haven't just been having the most surreal conversation for the last 20 minutes about schoolgate mums and sex playlists. So,
I know, it was a brilliant chat. That's probably more interested in the next whatever we talk about now.
We'll see. We'll see. I'm confident that you've got some good picks. I reckon we'll have a good natter. So let's jump straight in, and I'm going to ask you for track one to tell me the song that you regard as having the greatest ever intro, please.
Well, I didn't have to think about this too much because this song, yeah, it just, I don't know why it makes me happy because it's quite angry, but it's Surfacing by Slipknot.
Definitely the most angriest pick for track one I've ever had. Pretty,
you know what?
pretty
I love it. It goes, and then it goes, fuck you all, and I love it. It makes me really happy, which, okay, I do comedy, so that probably says something about me.
So, in regards to intro, like, do you, when you get an opportunity, I know when I spoke to comedians before, some shows you get to pick some walkout music, some you don't. Yeah. Like, have you got walkout songs?
Yeah, I did. I know we weirdly before we start recording, we were talking about Motley Crue. But I did walk out to Kickstart My Heart because I did. One of my friends was doing an hour like preview show, and I was emceeing it. And it was in a strip club. That's another story. But it was quite a long walkout, and it's quite a nice intro to walk out and get everyone, because I just walk through going wah, and that was a good intro. But most of the time it's like Rob Zombie, Scum of the Earth. I like to walk out to that. just this is what you're getting into. Like, I feel like it says I'm scum.
Yeah,
you're about to hear some scummy stuff. Like,
set the bar high, Vic. Go on.
Why not? I'm not scummy, I promise. But I just think, oh, let's just, go for it.
Absolutely. Well, I'm really, really excited to talk about metal. As I mentioned to you, like, I spoke to some I forgot what metal bands I've had. Mastodon.
I listened to
that. God, one of the guys from Papa Roach. Is that metal? I don't know if that's metal.
Yeah,
it's just it's a bit more rock, isn't it?
Yeah,
but yeah, and so it I haven't really had sort of huge chats about metal, and it's something that gets played in my club, and it's something that has always been there for me. Not as a huge fan, but there's certain metal acts that I'm pretty obsessed with, and so I'm kind of like really excited to get an opportunity to chat metal. So this should be a good natter. First of all, just on Slipknot, like when Slipknot kind of broke through, so that would have been what was Slipknot, maybe 2000?
Yeah, proper breakthrough. Yeah,
like, tell me about the impact that had on you, because there was like, I guess you'd already had, I don't know if we're allowed to talk about Marilyn Manson anymore. Has he been cancelled?
Do you know what? This is a weird thing. I've got a hoodie, and I've also got a dress that it's like a collaboration with Killstar, which is a clothing. And I'm scared to wear it out now because I'm like, am I allowed to wear it? Like, I might get shot. Like, I don't know.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's like, yeah, I think like I've not heard him mentioned for a while. I know there was some pretty grotty accusations made against him. So we'll park him up. But I do remember
park him up on the side.
I did get like I remember just through the club, like just watching the young people like react to Marilyn Manson. I'm talking when he broke through, just that shock thing. I didn't feel he was doing anything the Nine Inch Nails hadn't done, but the visual and like how he looked and the stage show was like, that's punk. That's going to shock your mum and dad. That's going to be that. What's this? Who's this idiot? What's this racket? And then I felt that Slipknot took it to an even more visual level, and it was scary, and it was like, I mean, masks in their very essence are pretty odd because you don't know who they are and what's going on. And just tell me about, like, was you already a metal fan when Slipknot dropped?
No, I'm going to give you my whole embarrassing backstory now. So I'll just go back to when I was 9, because I think this is the only way to explain it. So when I was 9, I started like amateur dramatics. So musical theatre was a big thing, pop music, boy bands. I was also a freestyle disco dancer, a competitor, but that's another story.
Another comedian that has been on here, Jade Adams, was a freestyle disco dancing champion.
I did not know that.
There you go. Jade's now on Strictly. She's on the next series of Strictly.
So on the back of my door, my mum and dad are moving, so they're downsizing. So I didn't realise they still got my disco dancing costume. They gave it to me, and it's hanging on the back of my living room door in a suit. It's like a case at the moment.
Have you slung it on?
Pardon? I was going to wear it. To be honest.
It's great.
I could show you a picture of it. I was 15 wearing it, but it's just awful. Like,
wonderful.
I mean, I won't go too far because this will ruin like the one of the options. But yeah, I was into boy bands and pop, but my sister's 7 years older than me.
Right.
She started she was into 9 Inch Nails and stuff, and her boyfriend, well now her husband, like he's my brother-in-law, they've been together years, but he lived with us for a little bit, with our mum and dad, and he had like a CD, he bought his CD cabinet, and I remember when they were out, I like nicked the CDs, and my dad would also, my dad was random because my dad wasn't really a metalhead, but he had like Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 album and Motorhead.
Yeah.
Which in later years, like, well, when we still lived, like when I was 16, 17, Hangovers, he put that on really loud. just to go, serves you right for having a hangover.
Love it.
But he's not really into that. But he had some kind of connection to it, I don't really know. But yeah, metal, I kind of got into in my 20s and mid-20s. I mean, I'm turned 40 this year. And it's weird because people who are like metalheads and they find out how old I am, especially if they're my age or older, they're like, oh Ma, you must have been like into these bands when they were in the 90s. And I'm like, not at all. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit and go, yeah, I loved all this music all my life. I haven't. But Slipknot were probably, I wouldn't say they were the first heaviest band I really got into. I remember listening to Hole a lot when I was about 19. I remember I was at a house party and someone was playing the song Violet by Hole, and I was just hooked by that song. And like that whole grunge look, but I didn't look like that at all. It took me quite a while I mean, if you look at pictures in my 20s, I have blonde hair, no tattoos, like complete opposite to what I am now. But it just took me a lot longer to get to the tastes I like now. But Slipknot were just brilliant. And I remember seeing Stone Sour, because obviously Corey Taylor fronts that as well. And I saw Stone Sour, I was about 26, and they're not really, really heavy like Slipknot, but I was mesmerized. There was just, I started going to gigs then, and it was brilliant.
It's so mad to kind of get to your 20s and then sort of them find your sort of musical tribe. That's really interesting. Well, look, we'll pick back up on that, but let's go back for track 2 and tell me, please, Vic, the first song you remember hearing that had an emotional impact on you.
So it's him, Heartbreak Every Moment. Oh, Heartache Every Moment. Oh my God, I can't even say it. So I know there'll be, if people know who him are, they're a Finnish band. Bam Margera, from like, I suppose, skateboarder / Jackass star. He kind of, I think he kind of introduced, if you're a fan of him, of like Bam, you knew who him were. And that's how I got into it. And people, again, like people are snobby about that because they're like, oh, you only like them because of Bam. And it's like, yes, I do. I'm not gonna.
How do you find out about music? Someone introduces you to something, then great, right?
I met Bam in 2017 and told him, I thanked him. I went, they've been a big influence. I've seen them. I saw them on their farewell tour, and that was like the 9th time I'd seen them. And they're not really heavy. They're kind of doom and not about love and hike. But that song, it's got me through breakups and I've cried about it. And it's like, if you've had a bad relationship, you listen to the lyrics and it's like, yeah, it is heartache every moment. Like, it wasn't working. You make me miserable.
Tell me about me and Bam.
Bam. Do you know what? So I went to see the band CKY, which is brothers, the drummer, Jess Margera. I'd wanted to see them in my early 20s. because that was when I kind of going back, I moved into a shared house. It was when I moved out of my parents for the first time, and I shared a house with 4 girls. Just you know, side note, if you're young, don't ever share a house with all girls, because it's a nightmare. But just bitches. But there was a girl, I remember there was 2 girls, they were quite alternative at the time, and I was like, oh, I just want a little taste, but I'm still musical theatre and a little bit poppy. I don't know who I am yet. And she was like, oh, have you seen these skits? I was like, Bam Margera's a skateboarder. And I'm like, who's this? And then I saw a video, and I'm like, he's nice. I like skateboarders now. But so, and they obviously, the band scene came out really big, but in 2017 they played in Portsmouth, and I was like, I'm going. I've never seen them, and I'm like, this is my 23-year-old self's going to go mental. And waiting for them to come on. I can't remember who the support band were. Sorry, support band. And then suddenly Bam came on to introduce CK. I mean, this small venue just went insane. Like, there is actually a video of me, well, you can't see me, but you can hear me screaming like a 14-year-old girl when he comes on stage. I was 35 years old. Like, I'm in the front row. Afterwards, I didn't want to. There was a lot of like people younger, and I kept thinking, wasn't being snobby, but they're going, "Oh, Bam, when you coming out, come outside." And I was like, "You're probably about 5 when you were skateboarding last." But anyway, they eventually like came out, and I thought, I want to speak to him, but I can't, because I'm a twat, basically. Like, I'm just a bit like, I'm still a little like a teenage fat girl, like inside. And I'm like, oh, they're not gonna want to talk to me. But like, I thought, no, I'm a 35-year-old woman. Just go over and say hello. And I did. And he was really nice. He was really shy. He was kind of like, I just went, oh, I kind of, in my head, I thought I was saying quite calmly, I've been a fan for 15 years. I just think you're great. But it was very breathy. It came as, oh, I've just been a fan 15 years. And I have a photo.
Oh, wonderful.
He went, oh, thanks. And like he kind of looks at the ground. He don't really look at you. But I've got a photo of me and him. And I mean, we're Facebook friends. You go through my profile pictures, you'll see it. But he's got his hand on my bum, and I was really chuffed about it. I was like, sorry to his wife, but his hand was on my bum at the time.
Wonderful. I saw that tour. They played the Underworld in Camden on that tour, and I went with my mate who was a huge Bam fan.
Yeah.
And like most people, I was kind of a big fan of Jackass, and I was a big skater back when I, in the 90s. But
glad I didn't meet you then.
But you would have been doing your freeform disco jazz.
You're like 9 years older than me. I'm like, hi.
Oh, incredible. All right, well, look, let's stay in the formative years, Vic, and I'm going to ask you for track 3 to tell me the song that reminds you of your time at school, please.
So it's no doubt Just a Girl. And the reason I picked this, when I saw this question, and I thought, oh, I boy bands, I like boy bands. I was a massive Take That fan at 12. But this was quite significant. So Don't Speak had come out by No Doubt, and obviously everyone knows that song. But I bought the album Tragic Kingdom, but I remember this song. I don't know if you remember when we had cable, there was a channel called The Box.
Yeah.
And it was a request music show.
Mm-hmm.
You get on your landline. Don't know how much it was a minute, but then you had to put the number in, and then you'd have to sit and wait maybe all day to get the song. But this was quite popular at the time. And I just remember seeing Gwen Stefani, and she had like ponytail with a victory roll in her hair, like the twist, in case anyone don't know what it is. And like just her style was just, for me, I was like, wow, she's amazing. Like, I mean, it took me probably to my early 30s to get to the style I liked, or it was kind of, I went really rockabilly at one point and then really goth for a little bit. But then I realized, I could put it all together. In some ways. But I think that's why it was so significant. I just thought, wow, this woman's just like, she wears what she likes and she looks amazing. Yeah. And her style, I was just in awe of her. And especially that video, because everyone was like, I don't remember that song. I just know, like, Don't Speak. And I'm like, oh, you should listen to Just a Girl. You know what you like when you're a teenager. You're like, oh, how do you not know this?
But what's interesting is, it's like you mentioned Courtney Love and just being, you know, floating around the alternative music scene then, and seeing, you know, there was a really great female role models in music there, being Courtney, Bjork, Tori Amos. There were so many. PJ Harvey were all making amazing music in the early 90s, and you'd see people that were influenced by Courtney Love and the way that they dress, but the impact I think that Gwen Stefani had, like you could see it in the fashion that girls were wearing. It was like, it was so instant, and I mean, she's still like, you know, all of the kind of solo music and stuff, like she's just got such a striking image, and it's you know, it's still, you know, very influential on kind of, I guess the you know, I suppose she's even sort of more sort of pop now than anything. But yeah, incredible. And Just a Girl, what a tune.
Yeah, oh, I honestly love it. It just does remind me of being 14, 15.
Yeah.
And I was still doing all my disco dancing and amateur dramatics, but I was really into boys, even though boys weren't into me, because I was chubby. Like, I didn't care. I was just one of the little fat kids, like, but I went for it. I don't know how I got snogs when I was a teenager, but I did. Personality came through. But yeah, but it took me so long. I mean, the only thing I didn't like even then was there was the skirt trouser combo that was in the 90s. And I never liked that. I just never got that. But anything else she wore, even now, like you'll see her some days and she's like in trackies. You'll see photos of trackies and a jumper and a trucker cap. And the next thing she's got like a sparkly dress on, and you're like, you're amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But that whole album, Tragic Kingdom, to me, like, even like Don't Speak's not even one of my favorite songs. Like Spiderwebs, I love that, but Just to Go, I think, was more significant, just because it was the video I kept seeing, and I'm like, wow, I want a victory roll in my hair, and I want to dress like that. And then there was me also going, oh, you're too fat to dress like that. So it's so sad. It's teenagers. That's what you like.
Don't. I remember just like desperately kind of wanting to dress like lots of my kind of favorite pop stars, and like I remember just getting this shirt because I thought like I wanted to look like Dave Garn from Depeche Mode, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to go for this shirt. And he obviously probably had some incredible black designer shirt on that was tailored to fit him and accentuate every shape about him. And he had these incredible kind of like black, almost like boot cut flared type jeans on, and he just looked so fucking cool. And I remember buying this shirt, and I was a tubby kid, and putting it on, and like my jeans were shit. And my t-shirt and my shirt, it had that thing where the button, like about the third button down, like I imagine it's probably problematic for women, but it's also problematic if you've got kind of like a moob-based chest, and so it was that thing where it'd kind of like pop open and just expose one moob. Like Dave Garn never had that problem, but his fashion sense didn't extend to tubby lads in Essex.
I don't know, like with Gwen Stefani, obviously she had crop top. I remember like Just a Girl, she, like, I think I want to call them trackies, but she had like some blue trousers on with a stripe down, and she had a crop top on. And I didn't have the stomach for a crop top. I mean, I don't really now, but I wear them. I'm like, sod you all, I don't care. I'll wear what I like. You can see my mum tum, I don't care. And but I realise as well, like, as you get older, you realise she's got a very different figure to me. Like, even if I go to the gym, but I got curves, and I'm like, I don't have her figure. So I'm like high-waisted trousers and crop tops. That's where I go. Not hipsters. I can't do hipsters. I think like she can.
That's the thing. Gwen Stefani's generally gonna look good in anything because essentially she looks like a classic Hollywood star, doesn't she? She's just absolutely, you know, if you had to design a Hollywood star, it would look like her. So yeah, And I think like it's weird, isn't it? It's like I look at things. I saw some photos the other day of a fella that owned a club that I know, and he got married in this like on a beach somewhere, and he had like white trousers on, and he just wore a white waistcoat. That was it, nothing underneath it, and he looked fucking incredible. And I was like, oh my God, he's got like really good hair. And I just thought, oh my God, that looks amazing. What a really powerful look. Then I just thought, oh my God, how fucking terrible would I look in that?
The good thing I got from Gwen Stefani is I wore red lipstick from about probably 16, 17 all the time. And like white eyeshadow was quite a big thing then. But red lipstick, even to this day, obviously I don't have one today, but I wear red lipstick all the time because of Gwen Stefani. And like even at 40 years old, I'm like,
love it.
The reason I wear red lipstick. And I love it. And luckily it suits me.
Wonderful. Took it with you. Oh, that's so good. Well, Vic, tell me about school. Like, how was it?
It was really funny. I had a conversation with my mum 2 years ago about this because I didn't think it was that bad, but I was called fat, or abbreviation to that, for a good, like, most of my school life. But I look at some of the photos from school and I'm like, I wasn't that fat. There was fatter people. That sounds awful. I think that because I threw myself into amateur dramatics and that I did all right, but because I was, how do I put this? So I found humour it made boys laugh. and so I was always like in with the boys and with the lads at school. And I think that made my time less miserable. But my mum said to me, she went, you came home crying most days because people had, I hate to say bullied, but it is when they're calling you names. There was no physical bullying, but I got through it. Luckily, I remember, there's one memory I have, I think I was about 12. I had a crush on someone in my tutor group and we had music class and we were standing around a piano. I couldn't remember what was singing, but I was kind of, my music teacher was there and I was standing kind of just behind her, and I started to remember bobbing up and down and my crush cracked up and I was like that. Yay! And weirdly, I saw him on Good Friday this year, but and he smelled exactly the same. He gave me a hug, but that's not the story.
I love the fact he's still wearing Kuros. It's amazing.
And he's still like, he wore like, they're not, they wear like rugby tops with a team on, like the rugby tops with like a white collar, long sleeves. And he still wears them, and he wore them at 12. And I saw him like, in April? It sounds bad. I was sitting in a park getting drunk with my friends. Oh, I'm 40 years old. But I was on my way to a bar, but he walked past and he went, Vic, and I'm like, oh my God, I was going to say his name, I better not. And he was with his missus, and he just gave me this massive hug, and I'm like, oh my God, you smell exactly the same as when you did when I was 12. I told her that it came out. My filter is sometimes between my brain and my mouth, it just goes.
And he had the same style shirt on.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fucking Groundhog Day, isn't it?
It's mental. He looks exactly the same. He hasn't changed. Like, same hair, just he's not changed one bit.
Wow.
He looks a bit older. That was it.
So
I don't fancy him now. I'm like, oh, it's not my type at all.
You touched on like the amateur dramatics and stuff like that, and that kind of, that sort of classic defense mechanism of a bit of comedy.
Yeah.
Was you confident?
I faked it a lot.
Yeah.
I think I was loud. I'll see, that's not really changed that much, but because I was loud and but I was really insecure. I mean, I still am. That's why I do comedy. But no, I wasn't. I just faked it, and I was good at faking it. I was good at like faking the confidence, and sometimes faking it for so long, it just came out without thinking about it.
Yeah.
But school also, it was like really weird. Like, I wasn't really popular, but I'd get invited to the popular boys' parties, and I never understood that. But it was weirdly, a lot of people who I was so-called friends with were actually the ones making me cry and calling me. I do remember she was supposed to, weirdly, I'm friends with her on Facebook now, but she was horrible to me at one PE lesson. Like, we had to do a balancing thing where like this is going to sound dodgy, this was the 90s, but like your friend was like, one of you was on all fours and then you had to balance like a plank on top of them. 90s school PE, brilliant. And I remember her saying, oh my God, you're going to break her back. I always remember that. That was awful. Yeah. But I mean, she's cool now. She's fine. But I probably shouldn't say this, but I'm like, the people who have called me fat at school, I see them now and they are huge. They've put on weight. And there's a part of me even now thinking I should be over this by now, but I'm really smug about this.
It's strange, isn't it? How, like I mentioned before we started recording, that I've been to a school reunion, and it is strange that some people, like I was just a classic in-betweener at school. I was, you know, I was not one of the cool guys, and I think that when you speak to some of the people that were the cool kids at school, like it feels to me that like they are still, I know it sort of sounds a bit similar to what you just said about that guy you saw, but like they are still living that moment. They are still, when they see their old friends, they're still just like feel that there's an elitism about, you know, the way, and I find that, you know, like I say, I'm like 50 next year, and it's like, fucking hell, I left school like 35 years ago, and it's weird how ingrained like a mindset can be, and how you carry yourself is formed at such a you know, and it is a kind of crucial age, but to sort of carry that, and it is strange, and I do think, I'm going to throw it out there now, but I do think it's important, like that if you discover something like alternative music or an alternative lifestyle, and as much as that is mainstream in its own world, like I definitely think it's there for, you know, more creative minds, you know, whether that be comedy, music, acting, you know, whatever. And I think that it does then give you a path to something different, and rather than like, you know, and there's nothing wrong with, you know, going and getting a solid job in a solid industry, but I do think that there's something to be said for following a creative path. And I don't really know where I'm going with it, but
I'll tell you what I like. So I'll see people, if I bump into people from school, it's not all the time, but so my parents still live where I grew up, so I do bump into them and I see people, and they've seen like I mean, I'm not a professional established comedian, but I've got a pro page that I just on Facebook, and some of them follow it and they're like in awe of it, and they're like, I can't believe it's amazing what you're doing. And like, there's even some who are really clever at school and who have got they've got a house, they've got their shit together, like their life, they've got no money troubles, and they're like, my God, you're doing amazing things. I'm like, I don't have a pot to piss in most of the time, but I don't say that to them, but it's really nice. They're like, oh, we always knew you'd be doing something like this, but through my 20s, I wasn't performing whatsoever. So I had a good decade gap of not knowing what I wanted to do. But it's
how was that?
Horrible. This is going to sound, I'll just be honest. So because I want to say like my life has just been kind of boys, just because boys didn't really fancy me at school. And then when I got to like 17, 18, my poppy fat went into curves, and then I was getting attention. I didn't turn into a raging slut or anything, just I was getting more attention. And I had like 2 relationships in my 20s that I shouldn't have had. I just kind of stuck with them, and I don't want to say they were boring, they weren't horrible people, but I wasn't me. And I remember the guy I was with for most of my like good 6 years in my 20s, I remember I like put black nail varnish on, and I had a beanie, and I just had like I was a bit like Philip Vallow, the lead singer of him. Like that was the kind of look, and I was 24, and I always remember he just, oh God, you've gone all goth. So I kind of just went, oh, I'm gonna be I'll just be the person you want me to be then. And it was sad. That was just, I think that was my confidence. But I got out of that. Like just it's weird. I'd hate to say that boys kind of veered me off, but I think that was unfortunately the whole chubby thing at school, and then suddenly I was getting attention. But then I look at my exes and go, oh, because the blokes I go for now are very different.
Yeah.
I like tattooed, a dad bod, beard. I'm very cliche when it comes to it.
Tell me about confidence now, because you do stand-up comedy, and for me, like, you know, I do podcasting, I've fronted bands, but I could not in a million years ever walk on a stage and try and make people laugh. Like, it's scary, terrifies me.
I mean, it is terrifying. I've obviously had bad gigs where I've just I had one, it was actually this year, and I'd had a little break from it because broke up with the father of my child, so it was like there was just stuff going on. And I'd done a gig and it'd gone really well the week before. I'd done a gig in Bristol and it was pretty much the same set. And then I went to this gig and I'd already, my mindset, I saw the audience and it was just, they're going to hate me. I just knew it. And it went really bad. Like, I was supposed to do 10 minutes. I think I was just, after 5 minutes, I was just like, fuck this. Like, I remember I said the word twat and there was these 3 women in the background going, ooh. And I said, well, I could have said, I'm not going to say it, I'm going to be nice, the C word, and you would have been fucked. And they didn't like that, and then I walked off. I mean, that was a bad, and I mean, it happens. But weirdly now, I kind of hate, because I kind of had to be navigating like being a single parent at the moment, like, and it's been quite a hard few months trying to sort that out. But now I'm kind of back doing it, and like people are offering me gigs. They're like, do you want a headline? Do you want to do this? And then I've done a couple of gigs recently, and I don't want to say smashed it, it sounds arrogant, but people have laughed.
Yeah, that's smashing it.
Yeah, smashing it. They laughed. And I remember like there was a couple of, there was a couple of guys on the local scene who they'd seen me bomb like maybe 2 or 3 times because of situations I was in at the time. But I was trying to keep the comedy going, but it was obviously not coming across on stage because I was not myself. But I kept doing it because I was like, I want to do this. I love performing. It's a sojourn. And then there was a gig about 2 or 3 months ago, and they went, "Oh my God, you're back!" And I was like, "Yes, I am."
Oh, lovely. Love it.
But I did. So last November, because I started. Well, I want to start putting events on. I did like a comedy and music gig at Metal Bar in Southampton, and it went really well. And it was obviously very small scale, but I got like a local band to do the like finale, who I knew. Luckily, I was friends with them, and but yeah, just doing all of that as well. So because I love music, and this is why I was really chuffed when you asked me to do this, because I love comedy and I love music, and you can't put them together. So last November, I was like, well, I'm going to put them together.
Do it. Absolutely.
I mean, people are like, I want to be on Live with the Apollo. My aim is I want to go in the Comedy Centre Download Festival. I just want the free tickets for the weekend. I want to do a good set on the Thursday and then enjoy the weekend.
Love it.
That's my aim in life.
The only time I've been to download was I went with me pal Cunt and the Gang, and he headlined on the Thursday night, I think. Yeah. Before it all, and and he's got a song called "Fuck Sticks," and the song goes "Fuck Sticks, Mothers Come." I've thrown a C-bomb in, so
that's all right.
I'll throw it out there.
Just in case my mum listened to it, I thought I'll be good.
But he then got, I've never seen anything like it, and I was filming from the side of the stage, and you couldn't get more people in this tent. He was on before. Who's the metaler looking comedian? Andrew
White, is it?
Andrew O'Neill? Andrew O'Neill, is it?
Oh, Andrew O'Neill, not White. I'm thinking of someone. Yeah. There is a comedian called Andrew White. Andrew O'Neill, yeah. I
think he was about to follow Cunt, and I remember just thinking, oh mate, you've got your work cut out tonight, because he literally, it's easier because there's music as well, and it's so puerile what he does, and he had that whole crowd. He was going right, and I think, I don't know what, but he'd got the whole crowd. He shouted "Fuck Sticks," and he got the whole crowd to shout "Queen Mother's Come" back. And I reckon there was 4,000 people there, and he was then getting all the people. He was shouting all the people outside the tent to shout it, And it was one of the most insane things I've ever witnessed and funniest things I've ever witnessed. And I remember just thinking, I do not want to go home. Like, I'm not a big metal fan, but I just thought this festival needs a bit of me.
Yeah.
There's 4,000 people shouting the C word at me, mate. I don't want to go anywhere now.
I love it.
Oh, wonderful. All right. Track 4. Vic, tell me the first song you bought from a record shop.
Well, it technically wasn't a record shop, but it was the first vinyl single I ever bought with my pocket money at 9 years old. I'll tell you what it is, and then I'll tell you the funny story. So it was Salt and Pepper, Let's Talk About Sex. I was 9. I remember, this is a memory that is ingrained because it was Asda, or it might have been called Carrefour's then. Like, this is how old we are. And my mum was paying, I'd got some pocket money, and she went, you can go to like the music, there was a music bit just like sold all the vinyls and everything. And I was like, okay. And I think I got maybe for my birthday, like a little hi-fi with a record player on. So it was the first time I had a record player. So I was like, vinyl, I need vinyl. And I knew that, I think my sister had been listening to it. So she was a teenager at this point because she's 7 years older than me. But I knew every word to this song. And I remember buying it, and I remember running really excitedly up to my mum after she paid for the shop, and I went, I got one. And she just looked at me and looked at my dad and went, oh my God, she's bought Salt and Pepper, Let's Talk About Sex. I didn't know what sex was. Like, I'd heard the word, but when I listened to it, when I thought about this, I listened to it the other day about twice, and I was just like, I was singing along to this at 9, you knowing every word, doing the little rap bit. And I remember my mum, I remember we got home and one of her friends came round, like one of your unofficial aunties.
I love an unofficial aunt.
Yeah. You called them auntie, but you were like, oh, they're not actually your auntie.
Yeah.
But I remember she like half smirked about it. I think she found it quite funny, but she was mortified that her 9-year-old bought this one.
Love it. It's so weird when like how naive you are to lyrics and stuff as a kid. I remember, like, obviously I'm old as fuck, so it was, I think when Relax come out, I was Relax maybe 82, 83, so I would have literally been 9 or 10. And I remember being in Yarmouth on holiday and hearing that this record had been banned, and I was like, oh my God, I need to hear it.
Yeah.
And there was a jukebox, so like I think it was 5p a song, so I put like 10p on and put it on twice. I remember just thinking, oh, this is great. and I just kept listening to it, and I was like, what's wrong with this?
Yeah.
Why have they banned this?
Yeah.
And I was going like, Dad, like, relax, don't do it when you like, relax when you want to come. I was like, what's the problem? And obviously my dad was like, oh, I don't know either. Obviously he just thought, I'm not going there with this conversation right now with your mother in the car. Like, I do not need to be explaining that to my 9-year-old. I was just absolutely, it was like, I think I probably must have been about, I don't know, 24, 20, no, probably about like 13, 14 months it come on. I was like, where are you at? Oh God.
I remember being about the same age, and there was like a school fete, and my best friend lived next door to me at the time, and I think it was about 9, and I remember coming, like, we were walking home skipping along singing Like a Virgin by Madonna, and like my best friend's mum was just, she went, do you know what virgin means? And I think I must have been really cocky when I was a kid, because I was like, yeah, like I had no clue. And she went, well, Claire doesn't. So that was my friend's name, and she was like, so don't tell her. And I thought, I wouldn't even know where to start.
I love the fact that you've just really given it the big one and just walked off scraps, and you had to think, what is a virgin? No fucking idea.
I didn't lose my virginity till quite late either, so like I was nearly 18.
Oh, love it. Love
I knew
it.
exactly what it meant.
Right, Vic, let's go clubbing. Tell me the song that soundtracked your years in clubs.
I have chosen Korn, Falling Away From Me. And the reason is, this was the first song I clubbed to in an alternative club.
Oh,
and it was
great.
Called, and I think I was about 20, 21. So there was a club festival called The Nexus, which has now been knocked down in its flats. And on a Friday, it played indie. On Saturday, it was proper metal. And my sister and my now brother-in-law used to go there. So like when I was 19, 20, I used to go there. But I used to go there on a Saturday on my own because no one would come with me because I didn't really have any. And I didn't care. I drove. I didn't even drink. I drove and there was like a multi-story next to the club. And I'd just go in and sit there again, looking really out of place with my blonde hair.
That's confident.
Yeah, that is like, this is a weird thing. I used to kind of, even now people find it quite weird that I will always, if I want a pint, I'll go into a pub on my own and have a pint. Like, I don't care. Like,
yeah.
And I suppose weirdly, maybe like I started that when I was about 17, 18, like, because you didn't get ID'd as much. So like, and I looked a bit, like, I might look younger than 40 now, but people thought because I was confident, I'd be like, yeah, pint and lager, please. And they'd give me a pint. But so I just sit there and like maybe have maybe one pint and like a Coke, and I'm a pint girl. I'm not like a very girly drinker. But there was a club called the Dungeon, which also is now a chavvy sports bar. But this song, I remember there was a bar upstairs and you went downstairs. The DJ was like behind a cage.
That's so metal.
Yeah. And it was actually someone who I went to amateur dramatics with DJing, which made me feel really comfortable because I was really nervous because I remember going in and everyone was looking at me thinking, well, you've not been here before. And then I just remember being on the dance floor, and that was the first song that I had actually danced to in an alternative venue. And I remember seeing a couple of people from school who I remember being in quite awe of, like when they were teenagers, they were alternative, but they were obviously in the 90s, they were deemed as a bit weird because it wasn't as mainstream. And they all know, and I remember there's a guy, actually, unfortunately, he died a few years ago, which is he got knocked off his motorbike. But I remember seeing him, and it was a shame because I wish I'd become friends with him because he was like, "What are you doing here? I didn't think you liked this music." But there's been a few people from school like that who were kind of in that scene that I wasn't, and they were too busy knowing I was doing amateur dramatics and stuff and disco dancing and liking my boy bands. Then they were like, "Hang on, why are you here?" And then they're like, "This is amazing." And like, there's a couple of people like, well, how have we not been friends for years? Like they say to me, you should have just come over to us and gone, I want to listen to the music.
Oh, that's wonderful. I mean, you touched on something there that you said you walked in the club and everyone was kind of looking at you, like, you don't, what are you doing here? Like, what's your relationship like with imposter syndrome?
I'm fine because I find it. It's going to sound weird, like, so I find it quite difficult in comedy or any situation. I don't say comedy, but I'm always nice to you. I'll say hello, how are you? Doesn't mean to say I like you, like everyone. Not everyone likes me, but I can never deal with people who make you feel unwelcome or they're impolite. So if I see anyone who looks a bit nervous, even like at a comedy gig, and I've been doing it like on and off since 2019. But I know what it's like to go into that kind of thing, even like comedy or alternative scene, and they look a bit nervous. I'm like, hi, how are you? And people are a bit shocked by that as well, because I hate to say this, but in the alternative clubs, there's goths, they're just not that friendly sometimes. And then there's me still in my amateur dramatic, I'm like, hi, I do jazz hands at you, I don't care.
But then maybe that them goths, I don't know, there will definitely be an element of them being a little bit elitist and a little bit snobby. Yeah. But then there's also probably a lot of the fact they're probably just really fucking shy as well.
Yeah, no, I've realised that as the age I am now, that when I think people have been rude, I've realised they're actually painfully shy.
Yeah.
I remember there was a girl I used to work with. I worked in an office for about 10 years. I hated it. I'm not an office person. But I had a really good conversation with her because she was never rude to me. I never thought that. But she said people didn't like her. It didn't warm to her very much. Then I realised she was having counselling for severe like shyness and anxiety. Like she says, I'm just so shy. And if people talk at me, I'm like, oh. She goes, but I don't have a choice with you. You just talked at me. And I was just like, I've got to talk to her. But going with that, I find comedy is quite hard sometimes. You're supposed to have this really thick skin, but we're also, most of us are all really insecure people.
Yeah.
And I've had, I would never name them, but I've had two comedians who've been very rude to me. And it really throws me. I still, even now, even though I'm like, oh, fine, not everyone's going to like me, but just be polite. just be nice.
It's really easy, isn't it?
Yeah, just even if you don't like me, just go, oh yeah, hi. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? Great. That's it. Then that's the conversation done.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I can't stand rude people or people who will make people feel like they shouldn't be somewhere, because I felt like that. I never felt like that in that club at all. If that was, I think that was more me and my confidence. Like, I'm out of my comfort zone. Like, this is a place I've wanted to come and now I'm here. But it did make me feel better when I realized the DJ I did like the musicals with before. So I felt much more at ease at that point.
Oh, I love that. Love that. Okay, I'm going to take you home, Vic. Track 6, a favourite song from an artist from your home county, please.
Frank Turner, who obviously not metal, but he's a metal fan. I love
He
him.
was a metaler.
Yeah, he was. Yes, that's true.
Millie and Deb were pretty metal.
Yeah, and it's Reasons Not to Be an Idiot, this song. And I absolutely love Frank Turner. I only got into him in 2013. I actually went on a date with a guy who only lasted 3 days, but he was a massive Frank Turner fan. And he had it playing in the car because he picked me up for this date, and he was like, this is Frank Turner. And I'm like, oh my God. And I was a bit obsessed with him for a while. But he's literally 10 miles. So I grew up in Chandlersford. He grew up in Winchester, which is like, I don't know, 10 miles down the road.
Yeah.
But and it's weird because there's one song that he talks about, like a street he used to dance down, like when you get drunk. And I'm like, I've danced down that street drunk. And I love his songs, especially like the relationship songs, because they're so like, you just, God, yeah, you're saying how it is. And I think he's the first kind of artist who sung about relationships and breakups, but some of the songs are like, he's fucked up, and like, and I love that honesty with his songs. So that's why I chosen that one.
He's wonderful. He really is. I was quite late to the party with Frank Turner as well. It was like, I remember Millie and Deb played my little club, and it weren't really for me. And then everyone was like, oh yeah, Frank Turner, like he does this stuff that's like, it's kind of like a bit like the Levelers. It's a bit Billy Bragg. And I was like, okay. And then I think, I can't remember what the first thing I heard was. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. And then he done Wembley Arena, supported by Billy Bragg and Pip. And I was like, because Pip's good friends with him. So I was like, right, okay, I need to go and check him out. If he's playing Wembley Arena, like, and everybody I know that mentions Frank Turner doesn't just go, yeah, he's pretty good. They fucking love Frank Turner.
Do you know what? I'm seeing him for the first time live in October. Like, I had tickets to see him, and then he did his book signing in Winchester, and I was like, I've got to go. But it was also my due date for having my son, and I was like, do I go into labour while I'm there? Well, just like, hi, my waters have broken, Frank, I'm really sorry.
Please sign this quickly.
You know what the annoying thing was? My son was 10 days late, so I'm like,
for fuck's sake, that's selfish.
Selfish bastard, son. Like, honestly, it was just. But I thought it was literally, I think maybe 2 days from my due date, and I was just like, oh, I better not go. I'll probably go into labour or something while I'm queuing up to get my book signed.
Brilliant. I was really lucky that he agreed to do the podcast quite early on. And
oh my God, I've not heard this. I'm going to listen to this.
Oh, he was so lovely. Like,
he seems so normal, like just down to earth and
100%. And he tells a lovely story for you and for listeners that haven't listened to that episode.
Yeah.
About we talk about Counting Crows, and he talks about his love of that band and a gig where he plays one of their songs. They got a song called Raining in Baltimore, and he plays the track in Baltimore, and then what happens is incredible and blew his mind. And so it's worth listening to that episode for that.
Okay, I'll definitely listen.
And he's super kind as well. He's just seems like such a lovely guy.
Yeah, he does. Like, I've obviously follow Instagram, and I even follow his wife because she's a musician, and she's I'm like, oh, and I love the fact that all the songs I've listened to about his breakups, and I'm like, you found your one. Like, I'm so happy for you. You don't know me. He's going to be thinking, if he ever heard this, he'll never listen to this, but if he ever did, he'd be like, oh my God, don't ever meet me.
Oh, amazing. I want you to be tastemaker now, Vic. This is your last track.
I know.
And you get to tell people a song that you think they may not heard that you would like them to hear.
Well, this came out a few months ago. And the person featuring on the back, so it's CKY featuring Hank Fonahel from Turbo Negro, who died last year. I think it was last year. It's called Fuck Shit Help. In a weird way, it just makes me happy, this song. And it's also, it's a bit of sadness because it was obviously released after he was died.
Yeah.
I remember Jess Margera from CKY, I think you put it on Instagram and said, we're releasing this now. This was the last song he did. But yeah, I just love it. And I just think more people need to hear it. Like, honestly, it's, you kind of, I do this in the car when I listen to it. I kind of like bop my head along to it because it's just a nice little song.
Lovely. That's kind of what you've just nailed that. And it's like, you want people to hear it, you know,
Yeah.
because, and that's the very essence of that question, Vic. So what we do is we put a little Spotify playlist together that allow that track and all of the tracks you've chose.
Yeah.
And so people can go and listen to it.
It's good.
It is. I've listened to all of your picks, obviously ahead of this recording.
Yeah.
And it was, yeah, it's an absolute banger and one of the greatest titles of a song ever.
Yeah, I know. I thought that's one of the reasons I love it as well. But you do, I just feel like you just bop your head to it, like you just, and it makes me smile in the car. Like it's just, you just bopping your head side to side. I know no one can see that, but it's just, it just makes me happy. And it's
good.
Yeah, that's it. That's the whole point of that song.
And that's the whole point of music.
People need to hear about that. People need to hear this song. Like
Absolutely. And people need to keep up to speed with what you're doing and find out all about your comedy. So if people want to do that, Vic, where's the best place to keep up to speed?
Probably Instagram at the moment, Vickie Delirious Comedy. And yeah, there are things coming up. Because I'm starting to do more event planning as well, which I'm excited about. So I MC tattoo conventions. So I've got lots of tattoo conventions coming up, which I love. I haven't really talked about that, but hasn't really come up today. But yeah, everything's on my Instagram mainly. I mean, Facebook as well. I've got a pro page, Vickie Delirious Comedy. It's all on there. It's the same for everything.
Lovely. Well, Vic, if it's cool with you, we'll tag you in everything when this comes out.
Yeah, that's brilliant.
So people can go and find you if they haven't done already. Vic, I've had the best time.
Do you know what? I've been so excited about this. And I know I'd put a post up and I think you liked it and on Facebook, and I'm going to do this before they realise I'm an absolute fraud. And just the absolute calibre of guests you've had on. And I'm like, oh, hi, I'm Vickie Delirious. No one knows me, but that's okay.
Love it. Love it. Right, I'm going to press stop. Vic, don't go anywhere.
All right.
Don't go anywhere.